climate and you name it. It's depressing my oldest daughter's generation to no end, and it should be depressing all of us, honestly. And when I thought about Alzheimer's and going after Alzheimer's and brain health and ending brain diseases with a new organization, thought about why hasn't this been done? And so I mentioned it took a little while. It took about 7 or 8 years before I got on this journey after my daughter was born. And I really didn't see the progress, and I started studying everything that was going on in Alzheimer's, and it just occurred to me that all these issues that we're facing in the world really come down to incentives. And there's a great quote from Charlie Munger that reads, show me the incentive and I'll tell you the outcome. And more crassly, if you take James Carville's quote from a different context in politics, it's the incentives, stupid. So of course it's the incentives. And so when we want to look at brain diseases, I picked one, the one that most people are familiar with is Alzheimer's, and say, well, what are the incentives? And in brain disease, and Alzheimer's in particular, it's not a lack of money. There's the NIH budget went up from $300 million 10 years ago to $3 billion a year for Alzheimer's research. And that is that ginormous green bar that just keeps getting bigger. So you have over 90% of the funding for research on Alzheimer's is coming from one institution, and it's allocated by unelected bureaucrats. And it's allocated to institutions that over decades have perfected the art of getting at that honeypot. It's a big amount of money, and they know how to get to it. And unfortunately, there's no accountability on outcomes for humans. Are we curing Alzheimer's with this funding? It's just to publish, right? And that's it's a broken incentive system. And so I looked at that and I don't think if you go from 3 billion to 30 billion, anything's really going to change, and we're not going to be closer to solving this disease. So what do we do differently? And so if those are the incentives, what's the outcome, as Charlie says? Well, we're getting dumber as we get older, and that curve is actually going down over the last decade, so we're getting dumber as a population, unfortunately. And we're getting older, and Alzheimer's is getting worse. And I can't go a day without a conversation with somebody on brain health where I find out very quickly that they have Alzheimer's somewhere in their family, and they're terrified about what might happen to them and their children and their grandchildren. And the numbers are staggering, and Scientific American coined this the $10 trillion disease recently. So how do we get at this? CerebrumDAO is a bio-DAO. We're a community-funded and governed organization. And what we said was let's bring the people together, let's motivate them to contribute and participate. And what are we going to do differently? Well, we're going to go fund things that aren't being funded right now. So more shots on goal, a lot more diversity of hypotheses, and then let's streamline the process and make it better, faster, and cheaper by engaging a community that's not a rare disease community and a small community, but it's everybody with a freaking brain. So it's the entire planet. And we all have a vested interest in this. So how is Cerebrum doing so far? Well, we funded multiple IP NFTs now, which is great. We're trying to bring interventions fast. So the first one we funded is something called Percepta, and it's a pill that you can buy in the open market today. We just don't have human data. And so it's intended to be a neuroprotective treatment. We're going into clinic next month. So we're going to have first-in-human trials on this, and we're trying to produce evidence to show that it is actually neuroprotective, and it'll be a very cost-effective intervention for people globally. We funded Fission Pharma, which is targeting mitochondrial dysfunction, and this is an early-stage research project for a small molecule. And we collaborated with DeSci on molecule to fund translational fidelity, which is intended at preventing the aggregation of proteins like amyloid. And 2 of these IP NFTs we've also subsequently got follow-on funding for, which is Percepta and Fission. And so those are IPTs that are trading today. We funded 2 strategic portfolio companies. One is already in clinical trials for Alzheimer's, and the other one is going into clinical trials for a very promising small molecule and also a supplement. And the big challenge of the day, and this is the one we're turbocharging this year with Cerebrum, is how to engage millions of people. Because really, the next movement on this, we've figured out how to source and translate the funding and the science. The next step is how do we engage the population to accelerate what we're doing. We believe we've got to meet people where they are and give them interventions they can access today. And these are interventions like digital health, like supplements, and other things that they can engage in today and participate and even start contributing data to improve our ability to understand the brain and understand the science that we're funding. One of those interventions is available today, and this will soon become the AI Brain Fitness Coach and Daily Brain Fitness Score. You can download the app today. I'm running out of time really quickly, so please scan fast. We have a premium product intervention where you can measure your brain health through taking a simple assessment. And we give you a score on your brain health that's validated by science. Holistic score, the only holistic score out there today, validated by science across 20 different metrics. This will be a premium product that will be discounted to our community members. And the supplement that you can buy today is on the market, and we're going to be producing data over the next 6 months to hopefully prove that this is neuroprotective and accessible for you today. So our roadmap is plug in the people, track the data, incentivize the development of the therapeutics, and then be better, faster, and cheaper at processing them through these novel token mechanisms like IPNFTs and IPTs. If you want to come join our movement, our Discord is here, and you can also follow us on X. And I failed at doing this in 5 minutes, but I got it in under 10. Thank you.